Awesome! So you guys have mastered the art of praise and being genuine and just having these really deep connections with people, because you understand like what they love and what they are really good at. But now that you're able to like praise people, let's start to move over into like how you can sort of attract them into your life, because you have to like have somebody that you can praise before you can, praise them, right? So that's why we're gonna get into like this super cool chapter about how like if you can do this, you have the whole world with you. But if you can't, you'll kind of be lonely. So the goal, right, is to master this one key concept. You'll go out there and you'll absolutely crush it. So let's go over to the computer and let's make it happen. So Dale Carnegie, he goes fishing in Maine in the summer, and he goes and he's like super happy guy. Now Dale, like, pretty basic concept here, right? He really likes strawberries and cream. Strawberries and cream make him happy, but when he has his fishing pole and he's throwing his fishing pole in the lake, he's not gonna put strawberries and cream on his fishing pole. He's gonna put worms there, because for some strange reason, fish prefer worms. So he always thinks about what the fish want, not what he wants. If he's trying to catch the fish, he's got to think about what they want from their perspective, right? And this unique perspective, it influences what? It influences his behavior, right? His actions. Your actions come from what? Like what you perceive in the reality, right? Which is super cool. So like, why not use this same mentality when fishing for people? And then he tells a story about Lord George, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, and he really wanted to stay in power over all the other wartime leaders. And so he decided that he would bait the hook to suit the fish. And it was so powerful. So what he did is, like, instead of talking about what he wanted, he knew exactly what he wanted, right? Like, he wants to stay in power, he wants to make a bunch of money, he wants to be super influential. He doesn't talk about that crap. Instead he talks, like, what do you think all politicians talk about, right? It's pretty freaking simple. They talk about what everybody else wants, and talk about the masses of people that support them, right? About what they care about, because nobody else really cares that much what you're interested in, because you like this idea that like people care about themselves more than anybody else, and they care about what they're interested in more than anything else. And it's true for like everyone, right? Like, whatever you're super passionate about is the most important thing to you, but other people, like, they couldn't care less, right? And so you, like, when you're talking about yourself, it's gonna make you feel really good, but it's gonna destroy your chances of connecting with other people. And so what you need to do is you need to sort of have like a little bit of self-sacrifice, and then talk about what other people care about. And if you do that, they're gonna think you're the freaking coolest guy ever, and you're gonna be super impactful, right? Because you're being interested in what everyone else wants. Because the only way to influence other people is to talk about what they want. And then if you want them to do something, you need to tell them how to get what they want. If you like, it's so simple. Like, that's how you get somebody to do something. If you want people to, like, if you want your kids not to smoke, then don't like preach to them and then smoke in front of them, right? And because like, it doesn't matter, right? If they don't understand how it impacts them. And if you maybe give them this lecture, you show them this video about how bad smoking is, like, they're not gonna care that much. Maybe they'll care a little bit. But what you wanna do is you wanna frame it in a way where like it impacts their lives. So say, if you smoke, you won't be able to play basketball, you won't be able to run track, stuff like that, or win the 100-yard dash. Because if you connect this negative thing to a consequence that they can concretely see, all of a sudden this negative, abstract negative thing turns into something that they can see and that they don't want in their lives, and so they'll avoid it, right? They'll avoid cigarettes, avoid whatever, and they'll get it, which is so cool. Ralph Emerson talks about this idea of trying to get a calf into a barn. And common mistake is you have this calf, and it's got like his legs, and just freaking people try to push him in, and just like push, and you have one guy in the front, maybe the one guy in the front pulls, and they're trying to get him into this huge barn. And the calf is like, he has no clue what's going on, and he's just like stiffens up his legs, and he refuses to move. And so like, these guys, their maid comes and sees what's happening, and she comes and she walks, and she didn't know exactly what was going on, but she realized that like this stuff was not working, and that these guys had to make a change in their actions. And so she walked over to this calf, and she stuck out her finger so that he could suck on it, really. And like the calf really wanted to suck on her maternal finger, and so she let the calf suck her finger. She gently led him to the barn. She gave him something that he wanted, and was able to like temporarily shift focus away from what they wanted, right? So you have to like remember, you have to act like every single thing you do, try to give others what they want, right? It's this idea that will literally like just lead to you creating money. If you think about like charities, right? Like, why do people donate to charity? This is like this funny Seinfeld clip, and you got like Jerry, and he's talking to the other girl, and he's like, oh, nothing is really charitable. And so she goes out and she tries to like do super nice things to everybody, or donate money. And every time she does, she realizes that like she's doing it to get like an internal sense of happiness or internal benefit, or to like make herself feel better, or to get even with somebody, get even with Jerry, right? And boot him out. And every single time she does something nice, like she gets an internal reward. She does it for herself, right? It's people, they do things so that they can like feel better about themselves, right? And have this feeling of significance. And like, nothing's like super unselfish, right? You give to the Red Cross because you want to lend a helping hand. You want to do a beautiful, unselfish, divine act. And you've done it to yourself, right? If you hadn't wanted that feeling more than you wanted your money, you would not have made the contribution. It's this idea that like there's the value that something has, and this value is subjective. And then there's the so if the value is the subjective value, right, is always changing. So the subjective value can be really high, it can be really low. So if this is like what you think the value is, and then this is what the price is, then it's just like basic economics that you will exchange your money to get all of this value that you see. And if like with this donation thing, right, like this is like a big emotional payoff of value, right? And so like if you didn't see this payoff, you would not have given your money, or made the contribution. And yeah, you might have like made it because you were ashamed to refuse, or because someone asked you to, but you definitely made the contribution because you want something, right? Like you always do something because you want something. Everybody always does something because they want something. There's no such thing as like, free lunch, free money, or whatever, right? Everyone does something because they want something. So the best way to get what you want is to arouse in somebody an eager want. Show them what this huge payoff is going to be, what this huge benefit is, what this huge reward will be for them, and they will pay the price to get it, right? Like they will do whatever it takes, which is so powerful. Because if you can't like arouse in somebody an eager want, it's going to be ridiculously difficult to get them to do anything. It doesn't have to be give you money. It could just be work with you, or work on a project or something. Like you need to arouse in them an eager want to succeed and to make it happen, which is so powerful. Like if you're struggling in like a group atmosphere, and you can't just fire people that underperform, like you need to figure out a way to arouse in them a desire to get this thing done by showing them that it will be so awesome when everything's done, that the amount of effort it takes will be minimal compared to the actual payoff, which is really powerful. Andrew Carnegie, he started work at 2 cents an hour, and he gave away like $365 million at the time, which is billions, which is today, which is pretty sick. And he attended school for like literally only 4 years. He learned one thing. He learned how to handle people. Right? That's all that matters. And so, like, this example, right, in this skill, it shows in his ability to create a desire and an urge and an eager want in others. And so there's this one example with his stepsister, or sister-in-law, sorry. She was worried. This was his sister-in-law, and she had like 2 boys in Yale, and she was sending them like letters, and she was worried that they were so busy that they neglected to write home, and paid no attention to the frantic letters that she sent them, because she's like sending them, you know, all this crap, and it's like, you know, how are you doing? You gotta catch up. What's going on? And these guys are like, dude. And because they couldn't see any value in it, they couldn't justify the price of their time to go and you know, write these letters and send them all off. They just didn't care. And so she feels, you know, really neglected. And so she writes to Carnegie and she says, Carnegie, you know, you're the smartest guy on the planet. What should I do? And Carnegie bet $100 that he could get an answer by return mail without even asking for it. Remember, this is the power of creating an eager want. When you can create an eager want, you will not have to ask for action. People will just naturally do what you desire for them to do, because like most people know what you want, right? If you walk in like a business deal or some kind of negotiation where you're like figuring out who's gonna like own this company and you're trying to negotiate down the price. You're trying to negotiate down the price of a real estate deal or some crap like that. Like the other party knows that like you want to pay less. Like it's not like you don't have to say this is too much, we want like they know that, right? Everyone understands that. And so you don't even have to state what you want them to do. All you have to do is create in their minds an eager want to get to the end goal, and they will take the steps necessary they will take the actions necessary to get to that goal. And so he bets her $100 and he says, hey, you know what? $100 is about like a grand, $1,400 today. Hey, you know what? I bet you, I can get a response without even asking for a response. So he writes these nephews a letter. And in this letter, he casually mentions, in like the little PS, that he is enclosed. He's sending each of them a $5 bill, and he's like, "This, I'm gonna have a $5 bill for you." He neglected, however, to enclose the money. So back came replies by mail thanking dear Uncle Andrew for his kind note, and you can freaking finish the sentence yourself. Like, they wanted their money, right? There was a value to them of $5, which is about like $50 a day, $60, $70 a day. $5 if they just like replied to this mail, and it took them like freaking what, like 10 seconds. But unlike the letters to their mother that had like no payoff for them whatsoever, like Uncle Andrew, he gave them a payoff. And for them, like, they 100% were gonna make this investment of time because they wanted the money, right? They had self-interest. They had something that they cared about. They had an eager want, because what did he do? These guys are like college kids. He got his fishing line, and in this case, his fishing line was envelopes, and he, spun it up, threw it in the lake, and in this case, by throwing it in the lake, he wrote these letters. And then at the end of the line was bait. And for these little college kids, the bait was $5. And the bait, they freaking bit hard, right? They wanted the bait. The fish that like see worms all over the place, like they want the bait. And so they came in and freaking ate that bait just like a fish. There's this idea of reward versus cost. For them, it takes like freaking 2 seconds to chomp down on a worm. And like probably 90% of the worms they chomp down on are gonna be totally safe because they love them, and they eat them all the time, right? And so like the reward of like actually having a meal is so much greater than the risk of maybe there's like a little teeny chance I get killed, which when I think about it, kind of sucks to be a fish. But it's the same thing here. Like, they are going to put up and do whatever they need to do to get the reward, which is so powerful. Another example comes from one of Dale Carnegie's students, and this guy is in Ohio, and he's comes home one evening from work, and like his youngest son is kicking and screaming in the living room floor because he doesn't want to go to kindergarten. He's like, kindergarten's gonna be the worst. And he's super sad. And so as he comes home, he realizes that like he needs to do something to connect with this kid and to bring him into like this better sense of reality and of life, so he can go and he can enjoy kindergarten and have fun. And so like at the beginning, he thinks, okay, well, how can I banish him into his room or be super mean with him and force him to go. But like he realizes that in the long term, like that's not gonna have an impact. This kid is gonna have to go to kindergarten every single week for the next school year, right? So that's a long time. So you can't really like force long-term participation and communication. And instead, it's so much more effective to just create in this kid a desire and an urge and an eager want to go to school. And so this guy and his wife, they come and they sit down at the kitchen table and they think, okay, well, if we were our son, what would be all the fun things that we'd be looking forward to doing in kindergarten? And they list out all these fun activities that they used to do and that they're gonna get to do. They look at it like if they were in his perspective, what would they be super excited about? So they did stuff like finger painting, singing songs, making new friends, and they decided that they were gonna put those ideas into action. And so they get to the kitchen table and they just start painting. They start finger painting, and they bring in his older brother, and they just have the most fun time ever. And they're having a tremendous time doing the little finger painting. And as they're all having fun, Tim, this kid, comes and he peeps around the corner, and he's like, oh, what's going on here? Everyone's having a great time. And he started begging to participate and started begging to like finger paint with these guys. And so you learn how to finger paint in kindergarten, right? And with all the enthusiasm that he could muster up, he went through this huge list that they made of all the super fun things, and talking in terms that like this kid could understand, right? And things he understood. He told him about all the awesome fun things that he would get to do in kindergarten. And he put it in his mind, in his perspective, and from his point of view, showing him like physically, like this is a really powerful idea, this idea that like he's physically showing him finger painting. If you can like physically demonstrate or physically represent something, because so much more tangible and significant in the minds of all those around you, which is why it's so powerful that like he focuses on this physical representation. And the next morning he wakes up, and his son is like, he comes down the stairs in the morning, and his son's sitting here on the couch, and he is like super excited. So the dad comes down, he's like, hey, what's going on? And he says that he's waiting to go to kindergarten and he doesn't want to be late. Now this is the same kid that like literally 24 hours ago was stomping on the ground and super upset and super angry. And yet because he saw this one event that like put his desires into a reality and showed him this insane amount of value that he would get from going to kindergarten, this kid is now like waiting on the couch, super excited, and probably like one of the most passionate people going to kindergarten on this first day, because he saw the benefit, he saw the potential, and he wanted that in his life. All because his father, he was able to inspire a feeling of want. He was able to inspire desire. And that's so powerful, because it translates over to this kid and it absolutely changes his life. So like, instead of trying to force someone to do something, right? Like, how can you make them want to do it? This enthusiasm is gonna last for like the entire rest of the year, and probably a good part of his life. He's gonna be what? Excited about school, excited about learning, and that is so powerful, and it's so amazing to see it as you express this feeling of want, this desire. So please, as you enter the situations and the challenges in your life, like look at it from that other person's perspective, and think about like what bait you can put in front of them that will create a feeling of want, that will make them like sincerely desire to do what you want them to do, and to sort of enter the world that you've created and that you see best for them. Because if you do this, like, you will succeed, and you will convince people to join your team and join your side and work with you and collaborate and grow and succeed. And that is just so powerful. And it all stems from like your individual ability to go out there and absolutely freaking crush it by making others see your point of view and understand the benefits, painted in a way that showcases the benefit to them, right? You want them to understand the power and the significance and the impact that the actions will have. Because people don't care about you, they don't care about your desires, they don't care about your wants, they don't care about your needs. They care about themselves. And if you can like combine enthusiasm with other people and looking at the benefits and the results that you can get other people, and show them the ridiculous amount of value that you can bring into their life just by like, supporting you and going along with this and fulfilling and just doing whatever it is that you need them to do. Like all of a sudden there's just this huge game change in like all aspects of the connection and of the relationship, and like everything changes. Because you are there with this person, which is so powerful. So go out there, apply it, absolutely crush it, and create a feeling of desire in someone else's life, and notice how you can like change your behavior, change their actions, change their habits, even like convince people to give you money. It's all about what? Giving them a feeling of desire. I met an Uber driver yesterday, and we're like probably 2 minutes away from the place we're going, and we're going to breakfast. And so I asked him like this one question after I finished reading this book, and he's like, "Oh, that's a good question." And then he was just talking back and forth, and I asked him, I'm trying to figure out like right now how to price the audiobook and stuff like that. I'm like, what would you pay for an audiobook? And it's like, oh, you have an audiobook? And I'm like, yeah, it's for my book. And he's like, oh, you have a book? And I'm like, yeah, it's 9 to Noon, your workday of Wealthy Americans, the coolest thing ever, personal finance, investing. And he's like, oh, that's cool, what got you into that? And then I gave like my origin story and epiphany and stuff like that. And he like freaking bought the book, right? And like, why? Right? It's because you're able to create a feeling of want, a feeling of desire in others. And it's happened so often. Like I'll meet people on the airplane, same thing, tell them a story by myself, and it creates in their mind a feeling of desire and a want, because they see so much more value than any kind of incremental cost for like a book, right? And so it's really powerful. And if you can figure out a way to create desire in others' minds by like telling them stories or connecting with them, you're gonna be able to like really crush it, which is like super awesome. You can sell yourself, you can sell your products, you can sell your services, you can sell anything you want. By just arousing this feeling of desire, this want. And it's also going to help you, like with your relationships, right, to do things in junction with others, not force them to do the crap that doesn't matter, but instead have this intimate connection where like they're doing things because they want to do them for you, and it makes them happier. And that is such a powerful place to be, because it makes so you don't have to force things on others, and instead you have this collective growth as a group, which is so powerful. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Go out there, apply it, absolutely crush it, because this stuff is like game changing, and it is so killer, and it's just amazing stuff. And it has like marketplace application, but it also like will make your life so much happier and so much easier, so much more streamlined, because like you're not like forcing people to do things, you're just like arousing a want. And I'll finish up on this last example because I think it's really powerful. I'm doing like slow carb diet, and so like cheat day, and so on Saturday we'll have like this huge party all the time, which is awesome. And like a super big fan of donuts for cheat day. It's really nice. And so like every time we get donuts, I'll give my dad like this giant hug, it'll be the nicest thing ever. Be like, oh, you're the greatest, this is the best ever. And so like yesterday he came in kind of late off of a plane, and he goes to the grocery store and like orders these groceries, and he freaking gets donuts, right? Why does he get donuts? He gets donuts because like to him there's a desire, there's a want, there's a benefit, there's this plus of this emotional payoff and this connection that's going to develop and strengthen, and this intimacy and happiness that comes from getting these donuts. And so to him that's worth so much more than the $2.50 that it costs to get the donuts. So just like figure out a way that you can make others super happy to do what you want by adding a ridiculous amount of value in their lives and making that value level exceed the cost of whatever, be it time, energy, money, doesn't matter. You can overcome all these barriers and achieve so much just by like following this one principle, which is super cool, super powerful. Go out there, crush it, and I will see you in the next module. Thanks guys, bye.